Good evening, Bethany.
Good evening.
Okay, so I know Dr. Howard did a nice introduction of the Emancipation Proclamation, so I'm trying to follow that up. And so they came. At first, a small trickle, and then a steady stream. Eventually, a mighty wave of people filled the abandoned barn where they would all gather this particular December 31st evening. It was watch night, 1862. And as one brother minister surveyed the congregants, nostalgically, he focused upon the faces of the elderly, their weathered gray brows and blistered and calloused hands that had picked cotton for longer than even they could remember. Surveying and gazing, he then zeroed in on the youth, young men and women, mere human shadow, commodities like chewing gum, mules, or tobacco, to be bought, sold, and transferred for the mere settling of the slave owner's debts. To himself, he thought of the songs of Zion, those songs that praise the God of Israel, and the God who freed the slaves of yore. At last, finally, the day had come when this same Jehovah had heard even their prayers. And because he had heard their prayers, this December 31st, 1862 was different. Yes, abolitionist Frederick Douglass was extremely anxious this New Year's Eve evening, because this was the night that the most important document in U.S. history would be signed. The promise and long-awaited signature of the Emancipation Proclamation by President Lincoln. It was the symbol of hope and freedom thirsted for decades by millions of slaves. In part, Lincoln wrote, quote, "I do order and declare that all persons held as slaves within said designated states and parts of states are, and henceforward, shall be free." End quote. This single act forever changed why and how colored people gathered in churches on New Year's Eve forever. Originally, our ancestors assembled in churches on New Year's Eve because it was at this time that their slave masters tallied and settled their annual debts. So, usually, in this settlement of debts, slaves were sold, traded, and transferred to new slave owners, leaving colored families fractured, torn, and in most cases, never to be reunited again. So, this tradition of meeting in churches on New Year's Eve is not a mere statement of pious fashion to impress or shame others about how you ring in the new year, but instead an homage to the deliverance of our people, a reminder of from whence we've come, and a conviction of reverent submission to our God, who is able to indeed keep us free.
Yes.
Happy Freedom's Eve. Happy Emancipation Proclamation 150th anniversary.
Yeah.
And Happy New Year, Bethany.